Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Paul Reed and I'm a professional photographer. No messing about today, we're just going to get right on with the photography. So these are going to be some photographs that I took during one of my workshops in Glasgow and one in London. So I just thought I would show you what I captured there, which I take photographs as well during these workshops. More as examples and trying to show people what to do, but sometimes, I get some good shots as well. So this shot, it was taken, and I mean, this woman is thinking, is he taking a photograph of me or is he not? And she's not quite sure, which a lot of the time that's the case. But I've got that eye contact that I always like from her. Love what she's wearing, the cigarette in her hand and just standing next to them recycling bins. But this was where I was kind of pointing out people to look for, people to photograph, people who I find interesting. And I kind of was just do that sometimes in the workshops, is just to try and get people in the train of thought of looking out for characters, different people who are worth photographing. And I think this lady was definitely worth photographing. Taken on the Q2 Monochrom as well, that, by the way. This shot I absolutely love. So this was during this is still Glasgow, and I took this. We were doing just some street photography, and I was just doing some lessons there, and this guy and this lady just came wandering up, and I think he was joking on saying he was going to give me a Glasgow kiss, which is a headbutt, but he was joking, and I basically says, oh, can I take your portrait? And I took his portrait, and a couple of the other people did too. I really like this one because she was all kind of quite shy and everything and didn't want her photograph taken. She was laughing and he was full of himself, so I just kind of wanted to capture that, and I really love this. This was the Q2 Monochrom that this was taken on, and this was the lady because she did want a portrait taken as well. So this is in London, and actually, straight away you'll know that this is taken on film. It's really kind of lo-fi, this image, and a couple of reasons for that. That sometimes film looks so grainy, as if maybe if you underexpose it a little bit, and certain areas of this were just underexposed, and it's just one of those things. But I actually really like the look of this image, and I like the fact that there's movement blur with her. I actually really do love this photograph. Right, I need to admit something to you though, because there was a guy behind her who just didn't really go with the image, and he was vaping, and it kind of took away from this kind of timeless look to this photograph. So I removed him. I got rid of him in Photoshop. I know, please don't hate me, but I used the AI removal tool of him, and it's not perfect, but it's better than what was happening. He was just taken away from the whole vibe, so I just took him out of it. I'll always tell you when I do something like that, because I don't want you to think I just take the perfect photographs of people. I want you to know whenever I have removed somebody or anything like that. I don't do it often, but I'm not against it. This was taken on film. It's a portrait, and this was one of the participants in the workshop. This was in London, and I love doing this sometimes. It's just taking a portrait of each of them. She's just a lovely, lovely lady. Everybody that was on the workshop were. But I took this portrait of her down one of the little lanes. That's on TRI-X, by the way. TRI-X 400 pushed to 800. Absolutely love this shot. Just this guy was painting a picture, and I just love the way that phone box is there and it says Chinatown on it, so you know where it is, and just the pose and everything. Okay, I've got reticulation on this. That's the word I was looking for in the last episode. I've got reticulation on the grain on this again, and I shouldn't really have used that Cinestill developer again. I should have just waited on getting my rod and all, but I did. I used the Cinestill stuff again because I was that excited about developing my film that and I kept the temperature right the whole way through, and I still ended up with reticulation. So that Cinestill stuff is history. I'm definitely not going to be using it again. One of my viewers actually dropped some rod and all off to me today, and I'm going to be using that instead in future. I still love this shot, and I'm okay with the fact that there's reticulation on it. I still love the photograph, and this one will definitely be a keeper, I think, even down the road. Another guy from that workshop in London. Love this shot as well. He's a fantastic guy as well. He'd never done zone focusing before or anything like that, or at least he'd maybe tried in the past and it didn't work out for him. Everybody was pretty skeptical about that, but by the end of it, everybody was just getting their zone focusing spot on. Fantastic guy. And this lady as well, she's just so enthusiastic about photography, and she done absolutely brilliantly on the day. And then this gentleman as well, he was just having so much fun on that day as well, and I just love taking these portraits of them. I always pretty much tell them not to smile, by the way, so that I know you'd be thinking everybody looks miserable on my workshops, but actually no, I'll just say no, don't smile, look as if you hate me. This was during the Glasgow workshop, and basically this guy, what a character. Taken on film, TRI-X, pushed to 800, and he was in that shop behind him, and we were all kind of hanging about outside. We kind of wished that we'd snapped him, and it was kind of one of those who goes in and asks him if we can take his portrait. And actually it was one of the ladies went in and asked him to come out, and everybody got a portrait of him, and he was so happy to do that. Back in London again, and the London workshop, and yeah, I love this shot. It's I don't know if it'll be a keeper forever, but I like the way she's looking at me, and just yeah, and I always like it when you can kind of see through the whole street and just the people in the background. But I actually really like this shot. I love this shot, and yeah, I mean, we were actually during the workshop, I was discussing, because one of the guys said, he really liked this scene of having those billboards as a background, and I was explaining that just taking a picture of the billboard itself, that bit isn't enough, that you would need something in the foreground that kind of complemented it in some way. And I got this shot, which is just a real yeah, it's just the fact that you've got this guy standing there in his boxer shorts, and then on the posters behind him they're standing in their boxer shorts. It's just, I absolutely love this shot. Terrible to edit this shot though, because of the difference in the shadows and the background. This one was shot again on the London workshop. This was just shot from the hip. I knew where she was going to be in the frame, and I kind of walked past using zone focusing and just snapped her. It was actually the black glasses that drew me to wanting to photograph her, but I really love this photograph. I bet you I'm the only one that likes this. So I just really like this scene. I like the telephone box and the shops, and the fact that there's people sitting outside the cafe there, and then just these pigeons. It kind of like just lines up and leads in to where that there's somebody walking a dog. I love this shot. I love the lighting and everything on it, but I've just got a feeling I might be the only one that likes this one. This is definitely a favourite from that day in London, and So this is like a really these are really skinny streets, or at least the footpaths are. So what happens is when you're walking past people on these streets, then I would tend to kind of zone focus really close and just walk past them and kind of have the camera at chest height. Now, if it's somebody that I really want to photograph, then then at least I know that I'm ready to just snap. And it just so happened that, I watched, and as she reached, for a cigarette, I snapped it then, and just at that moment, that seagull flew right down the middle there as well, and I just absolutely love this shot. I love having a seagull or a bird flying into my shot, but let's face it, that sort of thing is luck, but you've got to be taking the photograph in the first place to get that bit of luck. This guy, well, by the look on his face, he wanted to kill me because I got in his way, and I did it on purpose because I kind of wanted more of a front-on shot of him, and I kind of got in his path and pretended that I pretended not to be a bit daft, really, and not know which way I was going, and then I took his photograph. So yeah, I just don't think he liked me very much, this guy. But I love it. What a character. Those plasters on his fingers and everything. If I had one wish, it would be that the guy on the right isn't in that photograph, but I just don't think there is any AI removal in the world at the moment that's going to be able to remove him and make sense of the right-hand side of that picture, because there's a bus there. Oh man, if I put like in that generate thing and said bus, it would probably put some toy bus or something. So this will stay as it is. I still love it. Love this shot, and what would have drawn me to this obviously was the guy in the trilby. So I would have been there, just taking that shot. He was oblivious of me in this photograph, but then I obviously just love the look on the other person's face there looking at him, and I think this just really tells a good story. And this guy, I think I took his picture just because he looked as if he just came out of a lighthouse or something, a bit like the way I look half the time, but I just thought he was a good character. It's all right. I mean, again, it's just an example of what we were taking that day. It's probably not going to be my favourite shot ever. And then finally, this is a photograph of a lady in the underground, and I says, can I take a picture of your dog? Black dogs are really hard to take photographs of, because they just always seem to, you can barely see them in black and white. So I had to kind of bring those blacks up and shadows up afterwards, and it was high ISO. So I'm not too happy about that, but sometimes, it's just that's the best that you're going to be able to get with something like that. But I still like the shot. I think it's a fun shot. If you want to come on one of my workshops, I have still got dates available for London and Glasgow, two very different workshops from each other, just with them being different types of places. But we have such an amazing time together, and it's just for groups of a maximum of 6 people, so it's very intimate. You'll meet lots of like-minded people and get some skills under your belt. So I'll leave just a link in the description for the dates available, and just get in touch with me. I'd love to have you along on some of these workshops. Thanks everybody for watching again today. Please like, comment, subscribe, all of that sort of thing, and I'll see you next time.